Yeah. Wait, should we record this? Because I saw this on my feed and I was going to leave a comment and I saw your comment on it. And then I
Yeah.
didn't even end up leaving my comment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay.
Okay. When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing towards those big vision board business goals.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. There were so many good ones, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeline Daigan. And this is
hashtag
managed. I think it's perfect.
I like it. I like it.
Do you have any advice for the social media manager who feels burnt out from client work and can't imagine also posting for themselves? Because I know we've all been there. Like, I personally have just started to post more to my personal page. It's funny because, like, we've been talking about founder marketing and just, like, I know, again, with, like, the podcast, like, Jessica and I are becoming, like, people are starting to know us as hosts. And what's funny is I've started to post to sorry, I'm going on a tangent real quick.
Please
But
do.
I've been posting, I've been sharing my stories to Facebook. I haven't told you this, Jessica, but I've been posting to Facebook as well. And all of a sudden, like, like you swipe up to see who's viewing it. And I'm like, all these people from high school. And I'm like, I forgot about you. What are you doing here? But then I'm just like, oh, so you know about me.
Like, oh.
Kind of thing. Because otherwise, like, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole of, like, oh my god, like, these other narratives in my head that I'm just like, nope, we're not allowing that. We're not allowing that.
See, I feel it's so funny you said that because especially when Jessica said earlier, like, it's your mom and your sister and that. I'm like, oh, those are the last people I want looking at my stuff now. I'm like, this isn't for you. I'm like,
Yeah.
but so when I do see like, oh, my high school friends are following Sam Schmidt social, I'm like, oh, I bet. I was like, oh, you want to see me? Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep.
You got senior superlative for most likely to be successful. Me,
Oh,
no.
was that me?
It's in the middle. It's coming. But
Did you? Did either of you get a superlative? Now I need to know.
I did not. I did not.
I didn't either. What was it?
This is a long story short. My dad married my best friend's mom in high school, so me and my best friend got like most likely to be best friends forever. I mean, because we've been friends for a long time, but also because our parents got married.
Wait, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
New question that we now ask to our podcast.
Yes.
Did you win a senior superlative, and which one? Which did you win? Because I guarantee that one I know is very like niche and very unique. But there's so many of like the most common ones. I probably would have like never guessed it. That's why I love like our social media manager community and like our listenership of this podcast, because there are so many people from like so many different like walks of life. Like say you were a teacher prior, like just so many people who make up our community who are like who share the love of social media, and like we said, like how crazy that this is like literally what we do. Most people now 25 still don't know what we do as social media marketers, which I think is also just as hilarious. But yeah, I think it's really funny and like full circle to think about like it's not going to be like those people who were, like I'm thinking, well, what are senior superlatives? Like best successful businesswoman. I don't even know if that was
like
one, but
class clown is one that I think
Class clown, most likely to be famous. I was a little butthurt. I was a thespian. I was a theater girl, and I was a little bitter. The girl who won, like, I'm laugh because like in my head I'm like, she should have. I don't, but I think she's like in politics now. That I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Plot, doing it for the plot. I have a question for you, Sam. Like, I know obviously we're social media marketers, like, through and through, like social channels are like our first love, but do you do anything beyond social media, like to grow your personal brand? Like whether it be like other channels, like website, email, like online communities, or I don't know, like offline too, like networking. I'd love to hear if there's any other ways that you like lean into your personal brand as well.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, well, I have the Loop, which is my like community of social media managers. So that's really how I'm almost like a nurturing place for my personal brand and for people to really have access to me and get to know me on a more personal level. Where we'll have office hours and things like that where there's coaching, but then I'm also my dog is in the background, and there is that like personal element where I feel like they really are all my friends. So I feel like that element. I don't do many other platforms. Like, Instagram is really my place. You'll see a TikTok video like annually from me. But one day we'll get better with that. But actually, in-person networking is something I've really emphasized this year because it was in January that I went to a networking event, and it was like you had to get up and stand and say what you did. Oh my god, you would have thought I'd never spoken English before. I was like, my hands were shaking, and I was like, I can be in a room. I can host trainings of 200 people in a Zoom, but I can't talk to 20 women about what I do. I was like, oh, this guy has to change. So that's really where I've been leveraging, and I found some really great like women's groups, and I've been speaking at them now, and the hands are still shaking, but it's getting better. So that's really where I've leveraged a lot. Do you do any like in-person networking or even like off Instagram? Because I'm always curious where people build their networks outside of Instagram too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I'll
we
definitely
oh no, you
yeah,
go.
definitely networking for sure. I think it's so funny that you mentioned that, and what popped into my head, which is so funny, and I'm just kind of being a nerd already obsessed over our episode already. But the more and more networking events you go to, like it's gonna be a muscle memory. Like you're gonna get up there and people are gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, Sam has been speaking for years." Like
Mhm.
she is, you know what I mean? Like you really become more confident and speaking. And I think the same goes for like showing up like as your personal brand as well. But
Mhm.
another place that I can think of that I really love for like myself, or really I love to lean into it for clients, because I feel like a lot of our clients, the ones that we work with specifically, they're either they own and they're so confident in their like personal brand and creating content themselves, or they're not, and it's like nurturing them to get to that point. So my biggest push for them is, depending on kind of what their business is, email or blog. I'm like two
Mhm.
places, like
Mhm.
again, whether they're writing it or we're writing it and we're directing it, it's like that's a good place to really start and get consistent, like with putting out content. Obviously, different format with being a little bit more like long form versus like an Instagram caption or a video or something. But I think those are great channels too. Like
Mhm.
in addition to Instagram and networking, I would suggest to anyone, like, do all the things that
Mhm.
work to get your personal brand out there, and do them all consistently. And I
Mhm.
think we kind of bring it back to like treating it like a client. You're like, oh, I'm taking on this big client, I'm doing all these things. Then you're going to see like really, really great success.
I like the idea of treating yourself like a big client. Like treating yourself like a client with a lot of deliverables or those types of things is such a great way to like think about it. But I didn't even realize that I said it like that when I said the networking groups. It just totally goes back to what we were saying is it's the same thing of like your hand might be shaking when you're creating content, but I think it's almost like the muscle of being uncomfortable is something that you do get used to. Because when I noticed, I was like, oh my god, my armpits are sweating, that's got to stop, so I'm going to keep going until my armpits stop sweating. Like it's it really is the same thing with everything, with posting content or sending out that first blog, like almost being honestly like being addicted to being uncomfortable, but being
Yeah.
really driven to not being uncomfortable anymore in those things is such a great way to think about it for anyone who's like in their own way.
I truly feel like social media managers and marketers are the people who constantly push themselves outside their comfort zone. Like
Mhm.
there's no way you to me, I feel like that is how you're going to succeed in this industry. You just have to keep pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And I feel like even with the podcast, like myself, like my hands still shake. Like I still sweat. Like when we sit down to record these, I'm like, okay, don't stutter. Try and avoid saying like love
Mhm.
that. But you just get better and better.
Yeah. Wait, I'm so glad you mentioned podcast, Maddie, because duh, that's literally like another place that we do personal brand. We're like recording this right now. I'm like, where else do we market?
Where? Email. Oh, just One of the biggest social media management podcasts. That's great. Clip that. Yeah. No. It's so. But even like to your point too with the sweat is, maybe the sweat never goes away, but it's learning to manage the sweat and learning to be like, okay, this is just part of it. Let's go. That's what makes you keep going instead of, oh my god, I'm sweating, this must stop. I think that's like the mindset shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so since you have like stroked our ego so much today, you probably know that each week we do a segment called On Our Feed, which is where we like to highlight what's on our feed. It could be something that went viral or a campaign that you saved throughout the week. What is one campaign or a viral post on your feed currently?
Okay, so I had some challenges with this one because is it okay if I do more like a style of content than one particular one?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm obsessed with the building in public stuff right now, where people are basically saying like I'm like starting my offers from zero, or I'm rebuilding my offers, or I'm completely changing these things. Oat House is actually one of them. They were making their granola butter with canola oil, and then they're going through and creating all of this really, I mean, viral to me, content around shifting back to olive oil. It's such like those kinds of like building in public campaigns where they're taking their audience along with them to make, more ethical shifts or more, interesting or new offers. Kelsey McCormick from Coming Up Roses is also another one I really love. She is always building in public. I think this era of not being like, oh yeah, I'm just like, these things just popped out of thin air and now they're successful is honestly like I will binge that all day long. So it's not one specific thing, but that style of content right now, give it to me, all of it. I need all of it on my feed always.
Oh, I do love that because I love that for so many reasons. I'm like, I don't know if I should say why, but maybe that's just an Easter egg. But
Oh,
love that.
will we be seeing you building in public soon?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe.
but
um,
but what's in your feed? I'm curious.
oh, what is in my feed? I feel like top of mind right now, and this is old, but this is just because Jessica and I feel like we haven't done our weekly reports lately with having guests on.
Mm-hmm.
But the Pete Davidson Reformation, that
Mm-hmm.
campaign, again, it was Valentine's Day. What
That's a good one.
else? I know, but what else? Of course, when you put us on the spot, like I'm
Oh,
gonna blank. I'm gonna
oh,
blank.
sorry. I honestly thought that you said you can clip this out.
I should have.
I was
I
like, wait,
should.
what's yours?
No, I
I'm
think
like waiting for Jessica tap
another,
in, tap in.
yeah, I'll tap in. Another
Okay.
one that is on my feed, I think is really similar, I would say, to yours, Sam, is I follow, and I'm going to like call out this brand specifically because I'm loving their concept. And it's, again, building in public. They're building a brand from scratch. It's called Wishing Well Laundry. They're three
Oh,
best friends who quit their
Yeah.
corporate job. They're creating like a clean laundry brand. I'm like, sign me up. I will buy all your products. I'm like, obsessed with anything clean living, non-toxic at the moment. I'm like turning, crunchy as we speak. Which is where I'm like, I also need to look up Oat House as well. But it's again, same concept of like doing all of the behind the scenes that I think, most brands don't. Like, it's so often that also, I'm gonna put a shameless plug here for like us as all of us here as social media managers. If there's someone listening who's not a social media manager and you're like, I have this idea, I'm gonna think about my marketing budget and then I'm gonna hire a social media company. No. Hire the social media company now. Well, one, please have a budget so you can like afford all of our rates, of course.
sure.
But I think often so many people wait for that like perfect and pretty product. And like you said, Sam, they're like, oh, here it is. Here's all of the work that I've done. Or, but anyway, it's a really, really fun brand. I think it's really fun. Like three friends who quit their corporate jobs. I'm like, whoa, tell me all the info about how you all like took that leap. Obviously we're all entrepreneurs ourselves, but that's a big leap, like corporate job into launching like a product brand. But anyway, they're launching really, really soon. So that's where I'm seeing like more and more of their content. And I'm like that person on TikTok who I'm commenting on everything. Like I'm like their biggest fan. So
I love that. And like I always say to any business owner, especially if you're just starting, like the time to start posting on social media is before you even start. Like, okay, I just got my loan to start my restaurant. Start creating that content now. So by the time you're opening, oh my gosh, you're line out the door. I love that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, in conclusion, again, similar to our What's on Our Feed segment, we always do our weekly report. So, we love to find new sources of inspiration, and we're sure you have some amazing recommendations. So, what are you currently reading?
So, I'm not currently reading anything, but Verity is sitting right there. I can see it. It's right there. I will be reading it. You know what? This podcast interview is going to encourage me to start reading it tonight, so I can say I'm reading it. So, I'm
I
going
will.
Verity.
I will say that is one book I always recommend to people if you want to get out of a reading rut. Like that, it will get you out of a reading rut. I will say that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is one thing that you're eating?
What is one thing that I'm eating? Okay, this is really random, but I'm back on my Laughing Cow cheese kick. I am obsessed with it. I used to eat it as a kid, and then now I was like, I want to buy this at the store. I'm popping like 6 of them a day. I'm eating all of them. Really random, but
No, I'm always looking for like quick and easy snacks like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, what are you playing?
Like game?
Like watching, listening to, just playing.
Severance on repeat. I feel like I'm getting either smarter or more creative. Like Severance is like it's like almost too highbrow for me, but I got to keep watching it to keep up. Oh, it's the best.
Okay. What are you obsessing over?
Severance. Honestly, I am in my TV era right now. I think between Traders and Deal or No Deal Island, I'm in the game world right now. Also, that's actually why I'm not reading. I'm watching so much TV.
It's balance. It's balance.
It's balance, yeah.
And then, what is one thing you're recommending?
Oh, it's the little screen you can buy them on Amazon. I always see people shooting content with their back camera, and I'm like, would love to be that confident in the way I look. Would love to, would love to do that. Would love to, and I've done the Apple Watch screen share thing, doesn't work. On Amazon, I was like, I can even give this to you for your show notes. This link for this little screen that goes behind your phone to show the thing. Oh my God, it's the best ever. Best little content gadget.
Is it like a mirror? Or it's like a screen?
It's a screen that mirrors your phone. It is this little tiny thing, and I get to see how my face looks while I'm recording on the back. Oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever.
Yes, we're definitely gonna need a link to that.
Got it.
Okay, and then lastly, what are you treating yourself to lately?
What am I treating myself to lately? I am going to go get a facial today, so that's what we're doing. Yeah,
we are your self-care girlies, so yes.
When in doubt, go get a facial.
Sam, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I just have to say it's been an honor, and I know I speak for both Jessica and I think that right now, and just in general in the social media world, and I think any industry, there's still the game of comparison and imposter syndrome, and just I love that somebody like you has agreed to like be a guest on our podcast because you are killing it. You're thriving, and just I know that this episode is going to reach an even bigger audience. And like for that, like we thank you, because it's just like my hope again is that with every episode where we're showing our communities that like everybody deserves a seat at the table. Like we do not have to be in competition with each other. Like to your point, like you said at the beginning, is just not the energies. Energy is going to bring you your clients. And again, you're in the Pacific time, we're in Eastern time, and just we can't be everybody's social media manager. Like you're crazy if you think that.
100%. Yeah.
But we appreciate you so much, and thank you.
Thank you so much. I was like, you think I've been hyping you guys up? I'm leading this. I'm like, oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. And to the same, thread of what you're saying is other social media managers are not your competition, even if you feel like they are. And through your guys' podcast and your Facebook groups and even your social platforms, like you are such a big part of bridging that gap for other social media managers. It's such a hard thing to understand when you're just starting or when you're in the thick of it and you see the disco balls and the blazers and you're like, oh my gosh, am I supposed to be friends with them or am I supposed to be in competition with them? And so everything you both are doing is helping change that. So thank you.
Yeah. No, this was such a good episode too. I feel like this is one of those episodes that there was like so many good. I know our listeners have like their notebooks or their notes app open of like all of the different things, because it's the number one thing. Like I think even just myself, like my personal brand could be so much better, and I don't prioritize it at all. Like I don't. I own it. It is not on our client roster or my client roster, because it's my personal brand. I'm not gonna I don't know, maybe that's what I do. I go to like our next team meeting, like, hey guys, new client,
So-
you guys about me. Actually wouldn't be like a bad idea. Like Maddie's
Honestly-
like, wait, also do mine. So then we're like,
where we at with that?
Right. But I think there's just so many good like takeaways that people can take to like really lean into their personal brand and honestly give them like a good permission slip. So I'm glad that we were all like able to come together collectively to share that. So yeah, Sam, I know most people who listen to us hopefully already like know where they can find you, but for those who don't, where can our listeners find you online?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much primarily on Instagram, Sam Schmidt Social. I did not say the name out loud before I created it. No, it's a bit of a tongue twister. So Sam Schmidt Social, and then I'm also in my community in the Loop, which is through my Instagram as well.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, if you guys are listening, we'll have all of Sam's links inside of our show notes or on the show notes on #managed.com. And we'll catch you guys next week on another episode of #managed. Listen up, social media managers, freelancers, and online business bosses. If you're still out here trying to Google your way to success, it's time for an upgrade. The #Managed Collective is a free Facebook group where we ditch the fluff and get real about what actually works in social media management. Community, coaching, and resources. Because your ideal clients don't just magically find you. We're a group of 20,000 plus social media managers, and it's absolutely free to join us. So what are you waiting on? Join now at #managed.com/group. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you made it this far, I think we've officially become internet besties. You can always call into the #hotline and say hello, leave a review, or ask your burning questions.
Make sure you follow, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening from. Subscribe to the Social Club newsletter for our weekly email, and shoot us a DM over at #managed on Instagram, letting us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode.